Good morning. Happy Monday. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 496, ever so close to that 500th episode. Coffee for the morning. Very tasty, very tasty. Super Bowl last night. Let's review it. So that's basically, I apologize for the technical difficulties during yesterday's show. It seemed like, I don't know, I did an update yesterday. I think one of my issues is, and I don't know IT, I don't know technology, but often, and I know this is probably bad, and this probably leads to why my computer, especially on the internet, runs slow. I leave my Google Chrome like browser open all the time, and I know that's bad. So I made sure I closed it, made sure everything, and then popped it up. I think that worked because today was like the smoothest it's ever like gone live. Yeah, it suddenly ended. I don't know when. I didn't even go back and watch, but um I was getting a lot of people saying it's frozen, it's frozen. I had the we're having connectivity issues, whatever that message is. So I ended it. I didn't abruptly end it. I said I was going to end it, so I don't know when it actually did end. Um, I was tired of it. So Ken says, yeah, I was surprised about it ending as well. What's up, Ken? Did you hear? Were you able to hear me like say that's wrap it up? Because I did wrap it up. 17 minutes in, it finished. I think I went longer than that. So it must have just frozen and ended abruptly. Because I ended up talking for about 25 minutes, I think. No Super Bowl talk. Too bad. Too bad, Dan. This is the Super Bowl episode. What's up, David? Good morning. So yeah, so yesterday's you were mid-sentence and boom, gone. Okay. So yeah, my internet just crashed, I guess. Well, that sucks because I ended up talking for another 10 minutes. So maybe I'll have to do another, maybe tomorrow. If I don't have a topic to talk about tomorrow, I can try the Rockford Card Show review part due. So yesterday I really didn't do anything other than, well, I mean, I did a lot. I shipped a lot. I did some sorting. I finally, you can see here, I finally updated my basketball boxes because I had just piles of basketball cards laying around. So I wanted to get those in order so it's quicker to search and find cards for my eBay store inventory. So um, I also needed to because I bought the tall card dividers as opposed to the standard dividers, which you can barely see over the cards. So I bought a case of the tall dividers. So I used my label printer. Um, so as you see here, this is for baseball. It's by year. By basketball, football, it's by player last name. So used that and updated the basketball boxes. So as I do some more shipping, maybe later this week, football boxes will be the next to get updated. What's up, Mark? Good morning. Zach here. Good morning. Yesterday you vaporized. I was scared. Ken is up over 900 listings in the eBay store. That's awesome. Getting close to 1,000. Even the tall card dividers aren't tall enough. They're perfect. I think they're perfect. If they're and it depends how, if you only use a few, you can see them easily, but like if you have a whole bunch of them, yeah, you're gonna have to flip through. But I love them. I think they're perfect size for what I need them for. Saw your poll before I watched highlights. It's been a habit opening Twitter and Instagram without thinking. My fault. Oh, because you let's see, it would have been, so did you not watch? So I'm trying to think of what time. Let's see, 5 p.m. So you might have still been sleeping. What's up, Herman? Good morning to you. Zach Bowe was going for the Sopranos finale feel yesterday. There you go. And there was a Sopranos commercial on last night. I I don't really know. I watched nothing in US Live. Okay, interesting. Well, I am. If you haven't watched it or know what happened, this is going to be a spoiler episode. My budget for dividers consists of me cutting up index cards. There you go. Hey, if it works for you, it's good. I tried that and I hated it, and it just didn't work for me. So now I swear by the card dividers. So yesterday so I'll just kind of lead into Super Bowl talk. Um, was doing a lot of shipping beforehand, and then I had the pregame show, and I talked about this yesterday, and whether or not you actually heard it on the stream, I enjoy the Super Bowl pregame show, all like 12 hours of it. Now, I don't sit in front of my TV and like consume the content like all 12 hours. It's background noise. I like having it on. I feel like I'm not missing anything. Now, if there was no pregame show like whatsoever, I could care less. I couldn't care less. But since it's there, I have to have it on. So like I'm in the card room, the rec room's out there. I have the TV on. In fact, I think I had the some of the pregame content on, and I was watching Saturday night Sports Cards Live, Jeremy Lee's show. I had that on here in the card room. I had the pregame stuff out there. So then when I did go out and I was sorting my basketball because I kind of went back and forth doing that. Then I had the Super Bowl pregame stuff, and I actually watched like three different. I think I started with NFL Network, then I switched over to ESPN, and then I went over to like the actual pregame show on NBC, which is only a few hours long. So I had that going on. So Dan says, I know we have the ability to buy all the stuff to watch, but I don't care enough. I'd probably be in the same boat. If I was in that situation, I would probably be in the same boat. It's like, I can do without. Um, I use the same for years, worked great. Only reason I went dividers was for the eBay stuff, so it stays put for sure. Can't chance mixing eBay stuff. That's all. That's a great point. Um, let's see. Ken, I plan to buy a nice steel shelving unit this weekend for my for sale stuff. Probably going to have to use the index cards as well. That's awesome. When I upgraded, well, this one's the old Menards one. These, I love these. I got these on Amazon. Um, it was well worth, these like from Menards are like $30, but you get what you pay for. I think these were like in the 100 to 50. Well worth the added expense. Um, let's see. You can watch TV on your computer in there because you have YouTube TV. Let's see. Porter and I were. Oh, you can watch TV on your computer in there because you have YouTube TV. I do. Can I watch YouTube TV on YouTube? I don't know if I can do that. I'll have to look into that. I never thought of that. Um, let's see. Porter and I were listening to pregame driving around. Also caught the end on radio. Westwood One. Kevin Hartland's so good. I could listen to him read the phone book. Yeah, Kevin Hartland's one of my favorites. Al Michaels is probably my favorite football announcer because it's like the soundtrack to my childhood. Like when I hear Al Michaels talks, like I like my mind goes straight back to like growing up watching Monday Night Football. So it brings back those good memories of back in the carefree times of your childhood. So I'm a big Al Michaels fan. I could do without Chris Collinsworth. He's kind of grown on me, but I still don't really care for his takes. But they do have a great on-air rapport. So it's not, it's a good combination between Michaels and Collinsworth. Ken says I shopped yesterday. The one I'm going to get is about 130. Yep, that's right in the price range that I was thinking. Ken, have you updated your halves on TCDB? Isn't anywhere close to accurate. So I was watching the all the pregame stuff, not like closely watching it, but had it on in the background. And I talked about this yesterday. I don't know if it actually aired, but I enjoy the pregame content. I don't consume it all, but it's on in the background, and I like having it. Like when big pay like WrestleMania, like I want to consume like WrestleMania content all day, and not just turn it on when the matches start. So I kind of like that build up, that lead in to the actual event. So I was watching that. TV.YouTube. My computer has to run it through Firefox. Can't use old school Internet Explorer to run it. I run it on one screen while listing on eBay on the other screen. I'll have to look into that because I usually either have YouTube opened or YouTube or Peacock watching WWE Network. So that's kind of what I have on in the background. But I'll see if YouTube TV. Typically, when I'm like listing, if I'm shipping and listing, there's really nothing on TV, like on TV that I would want to watch because daytime TV sucks. When my wife was recovering from her surgery a couple weeks ago, she was watching. She's like daytime because she's never home, or she's home but she's working. She's like daytime TV sucks. There's nothing on. It's like yeah, that's why I'm watching YouTube videos and WWE pay-per-views. Um, Zach says I like Al Michaels. He's in the perfect age bracket where he cares less about holding back opinions. The old man effort style is fun. That's a great point. That's a great point. We had Olympics on until kickoff and then went back immediately. I haven't watched any Olympics. For some reason, I just can't get into Winter Olympics. Actually, I take that back. I think the first full day after the opening ceremonies, the first day after opening ceremonies, whatever day that was, I think I watched some of the speed skating. That's it. I just Winter Olympics just doesn't do it for me. The Rock should not have been allowed to cook prior to the game. That was kind of a weird. Like I know he's got a football background, obviously the LA connection, but it was weird. I guess okay, it's the LA touch, but it was strange. I thought it was. I guess, and he's got the show on NBC, so he's got that. The WWE network's on NBC on Peacock. Okay, it all ties in together, but it was still like, is this needed? I mean, is any of it needed? No, but what does this add to the broadcast? And I love The Rock, but it was just kind of bizarre. I'm glad that I was watching, listed a couple of Rams cards and both sold within an hour. Yeah, so my eBay sales, and I had a lot of like random, like I had some basketball, like 90s basketball sales during the game. I tweeted out I had at one point, I think it was in the third quarter when I tweeted out from kickoff to the third quarter, I had 17 different sales in my eBay store. And some of it was there was some of my Matthew Staffords, like as soon as the game ended, I listed 3 or 4 Matthew Stafford cards during the game, like during the fourth quarter. They all sold. Like they all sold within 5 minutes of the end of the game. And I think I listed a Cooper Cup card. It sold. So a lot of that stuff sold like right after the game started. And hello from Planet Fitness, getting the fitness on. Jenny says, "Oh yeah, daytime I just watch recordings. I record all basketball games. Then I have choices during the day." Collinsworth's sons looks and sounds just like him. It's scary. I recall they used to show a player from each team playing the Super Bowl on Madden. Did they do that this year's pregame? They might have. Like I said, I just have it on in the background and I flip around to the different. So I don't know if it would have been on NBC or I would think they would have done it because they did have a tribute to John Madden and showed his family during like right before the game. So I would imagine they did it at some point. I didn't catch it, so I don't know if they did or not. Um, but again, I flipped through and I watched 3 different pregame shows. And that was probably on the NBC. I don't know where they run that, if they run it on the official NBC pregame show, but that's probably where it would have been, I would assume. My 8-year-old son and I played the Super Bowl last weekend. I won with the Rams. Had my son in tears. Didn't take it easy on him for once. I had 0 sales. So many Stafford cards and Cup cards and Donald, and nothing sold. That's strange. And Jenny had such success with David Ortiz upon the Hall of Fame announcement, and I sold like 1 card. I had like 50 in my eBay store. I sold like 1, and Jenny sold like 50. When will we see Puppy Bowl cards? I'm surprised we haven't already. I have to check out your Stafford cards, Jenny. If they bring back the Bud versus Bud Light bottles versus each other, I might trade the Bud Bowl. And that's why. So I'll just transition into commercials. So we'll go from pregame show to commercials. The older I get, the less I like the commercials. And I think that's just, I don't think the commercials are getting worse. I think it's just my taste has evolved. And and I think there's also something to be said about just how advertising has evolved through the years. I mean, when Super Bowl, the early Super Bowl big commercials, when what was the first? It was probably the 1984 Apple or IBM whatever computer that was kind of like that was the pioneer of Super Bowl commercials. And then we started seeing companies spend big bucks to unveil their big commercial for the year. But now it's like we've evolved so much technologically and just marketing wise, where you have the internet, you have companies running ads on the internet and TV, and it's just it's we're not just sitting in front of I call it 4, 6, and 8. Anybody in the Quad Cities area will get that reference. That was our locals, NBC, ABC, CBS. You know, when I like pretty much my entire childhood, I was relegated to 4, 6, 8, and 18. I had 4 channels plus like the PBS channel. I had ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. That was it. So, and of course, there was no internet in the 80s and 90s, early 90s. So, you know, you watch these big events, and that's where we consumed our content and our commercials and ads. And now we see them everywhere. We go pick up sushi and we open up our phone because the order's not ready, and we see ads like everywhere. We see these ads. And so these companies are spending big money all year round, not just for the Super Bowl. So it's almost kind of like it's always on. So the Super Bowl's not, it's just another day because companies spend these big dollars on these marketing ad agencies and produce this content year round. So it's not this big event anymore. So I think that's why we think we our opinions have changed, that now the Super Bowl commercials suck, where they don't suck. It's an always on society where these commercials are just, we're blinded by these commercials because we consume them on an hourly, on a minute basis, because every time we open our phones, we're probably prone to some sort of advertisement. So the commercials, I thought they were okay. And now I kind of forget because I just tune out the commercials. Because usually I'm on Twitter, like there we go again. Like, so I don't remember too many of the commercials. I do remember the QR code because that caught my attention. And what's a good ad? It catches your attention, good or bad. People were talking about it. There was a lot of, I'm going to call them old curmudgeons because it's crypto and it's something new that we're not used to. And it's that stupid crypto, it's a scam and all that stuff. But it was a great commercial. I'm going to talk about QR codes. So I talked about QR codes a couple of weeks ago, and QR codes have made this comeback, which is very strange to me because when I was in radio, and this was like 15 years ago, this was before smartphones, we had a marketing agency come in and we teamed up with this marketing agency. And their big push was QR codes. Like, this is the wave of the future. This was 15 years ago. I can't even remember how they worked. I just remember it was like we did a couple campaigns with them, and that was it. Like, I think how it worked, because this was before smartphones. I think somebody like hit the QR code, and I can't remember what happened, but they were able, somehow it went to like a website for us, and we were able to capture data. And that was like, it was very archaic. And QR codes didn't last because they were clunky, and it wasn't something like, oh, this is just going to be a poof, you're gone. And that's what it was for us. We did a couple campaigns. It's like, this is just isn't worth the money we're investing. And we moved on. And then all of a sudden, QR codes are a thing of the past. And then all of a sudden, they've made a comeback recently. In fact, last year, April or May, I had like a late lunch. It was on a Saturday, and I went to a local, it's like a regional bar restaurant called Mr. Brew's Tap House. They have great burgers, they have a great selection of beer. So it was one of those nice, like spring days. We don't get spring in Wisconsin till like June, but it was like April, May. We get one of those, pockets of 70-degree weather. So I'm like, hey, they've got an outdoor patio. I'm gonna go have a burger and a beer. And so I go, and this was still, pretty heavy into COVID masks and, social distancing and all that stuff. So I'm on the patio, and there's no menu, but there's this like big QR code that's like in the middle of the table. So the waitress comes around, and I said, "Hey, can I get a menu?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, it's that. It's the QR code." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And she walks away. And I'm like, "What the hell do I do with this?" Like, I hadn't seen a QR code like used in this fashion in 15 years since we used them at the radio station in their archaic form. I'm like, I don't have an app. I don't have a QR reader app on my phone. I'm like Googling, like, how do you read a QR code? So the waitress comes back around, and I'm like, this is a dumb question, but how do I use this thing? She's like, all you have to do is open your camera and just point your camera, and in the link, the website link will come up. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. So click the link, boom, there's the menu. And here we are, QR codes. They're back. In fact, I saw a second commercial. So the QR code was for Coinbase, which is basically a crypto wallet. I've had Coinbase back. I downloaded Coinbase when I bought into Bitcoin at the height when it hit 20,000. I'm buying Bitcoin up as it's climbing from like 14,000 to 16,000 to 20,000. So I'm buying as it's going up, and then it crashes and it drops to like 3,000. And I bought a few more, not few coins, but a few more percentages of coins. And it took 3 years for it to reach those $20,000 levels again. And then it, doubled, and I got out of Bitcoin and Litecoin. But anyway, so QR codes, they're back. I thought it was a great commercial. A lot of people didn't because they don't like the new technology. They don't like crypto, whatever. It did crash their website, for a brief time. It was back up, within an hour or less. But I thought it was great. I don't remember any of the other commercials. I kind of went on a rant there, so I'm going to go back into the chat. Let's see. So Ken would rather open puppy cards than NFL cards. Herman says Doritos won the commercial. I don't remember. I have what happens is I have to go back the Monday morning and read about the commercials, and then it triggers the memory. It's like, oh yeah, that was a great commercial. So I love, and here we go. We're stuck in the past because what are usually the favorite commercials? Nostalgia. Why do I have a bunch of unopened non-sports packs? Nostalgia breaks because I enjoy opening these cards because I haven't seen them. 88 Tops, 91 Fleer, 90 Donruss. I don't need to open another pack of those because I opened enough and I've seen enough of them through the years. But Elf cards, New Kids on the Block cards, Batman, that stuff's fun because I haven't seen it in a long time. But anyway, Ken would rather open the puppy cards. So yeah, so the Doritos. So I have to be reminded of the commercials, and I'll have to go back and read the article, and then after I see them all in, here's the review of the commercials, and I can say, oh yeah, that was a good one. And I always tend to like the nostalgia. One of my favorites of recent years, and this is actually, it's probably been 10 years now, was the Radio Shack commercial 10 years ago, and they ended up going bankrupt like a year later. But it was an awesome commercial, and I remember it 10 years later. Jenny says, I'm starting to track my eBay more. I'm 1,000% sure eBay turns on my account on Wednesday evenings and shuts off my account Sunday morning. Every week it's the same pattern. I have I have a similar pattern where it seems like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's like hardly any sales. And I think it's just buyers aren't really buying. They're spending more money on the weekends and leading into the weekend. So I don't think you're the only one having those issues. I see a Monday through Wednesday slowdown, and then usually Thursday, and usually it's like 5 p.m. Thursday. That's when I start seeing more sales. Now I have sales throughout, but it really spikes, as we get closer to the weekend. DR says, just signed on. Did you sell any Staffords or Burrows last night? What's up, DR? Sold. I listed like three or four, like in the second half of the game, and all of my Staffords sold um, before the post game show ended. They sold like right away. Um, I've had like 4 or 5 Burrow cards in my eBay store, and they're only like $2 or 250, and they haven't moved. So they're probably overpriced because if they didn't move, leading into Sunday, they're not going to move now. Best SL commercial a few years back. Paul Harvey Farmer Dodge truck commercial. That was a good one. That's one of the all timers. My favorite commercial was the E-Trade commercial. E-Trade always puts out good commercials. Again, I don't remember that one. I'll have to go back and read up. I watch the SP every year with 2 friends from high school. They are ad execs. It's interesting to hear their take. One actually gives an update each Monday on WTMJ. That's cool. I'd like to hear if they like do an article, like write anything. I would love to read that because yeah, I like to get that expertise. Dan says here we use QR codes on our phone when walking into a store for contact tracing. Interesting. That's interesting. QR codes mean I don't have to bring my glasses to restaurants. There you go. I used a QR code on my custom Korean set checklist to direct people to my blog. Yeah, I'm more and more like now that I understand how to use them, I think they're pretty cool. And I've also seen last summer I started seeing QR codes being used. In fact, my buddy Mark, who sits up next to me at the Madison show, he uses a QR code for his PayPal. So people walk up, and I think Texas Card Dude does that as well. So people just walk up, boom, scan the QR code. That's my PayPal link. Realized this camera app being a QR code reader by dumb luck recently. Always thought it was dumb. You needed a third-party app to read them. See, I was along the same thinking because back in the day, early smartphones, you had to have like an app to read QR codes. That 70s card show, The Sopranos, that was actually one that I do remember. And I think the reason I remember that is because of the music, the theme song in the background. Jenny says us low-end sellers are lucky today. We don't have buyers claiming. That's the first thing I thought. Like, man, I'm glad I didn't sell any high-end Joe Burrow cards because there's gonna be some returns. So yeah, the commercials. I thought the QR code commercial was good, and I don't remember. I'll have to go back and read up on some of the reviews because I don't remember some of the other commercials. The game itself was great. It was a fun game. What's up? Don't mess with a hobby. It was a fun game. It was close. We had some scoring. It wasn't like a defensive stalemate. Um, there was a lot of complaining about the refs giving it away to the Rams at the end, but look at the touchdown the Bengals scored. Was it T. Higgins with the offensive pass interference or face mask on that touchdown? I mean, that should have been a penalty, and it wasn't. And the Bengals score a touchdown, and hey, they lead until the final minutes of the game. So it went. There were some calls that went both ways. It wasn't just helping the Rams there on that final drive. But that final drive that Stafford put together, and then it was like the Bengals drive it was just like it was what was it, 4 and out and game over. It's like, man, this was, it was such a fun Rams drive to watch. I was rooting for the Bengals. But I wasn't upset. I didn't have money on the game. I'm not a Bengals fan. I just was rooting for them. So it didn't bother me one way or the other, the final score. People will always claim refs gave it away, and it's always the team that's on the losing end that have the biggest complaints and gripes. Overtime rules do suck. Overtime rules do suck no matter what. If you're on the winning side or the losing side, overtime rules in the NFL are absolute garbage. They need that. That should have been changed decades ago. Fourth and one play call sound familiar? Yeah, yeah, it does. We'll say bad call went both ways. Yep, totally agree. There were missed calls on both sides. Um, did you see Von Miller peel Joey B knee? I did not. Did not see that. Um, what was I gonna say? So and I grew up a Rams fan. So my cousin that I grew up, we were like best friends growing up. Um, Texted me yesterday and she's like, who do you have? And I'm like, I think the Rams are gonna win, but I'm rooting for the Bengals. And she's like, come on. Um, and then she goes, neighbor Dick's gonna be mad. So my neighbor, his name was Richard. We called him Dick. Um, he was the big Rams fan, my next door neighbor. And she's like, Dick's gonna be mad that you're rooting against the Rams. And my cousin's a Rams fan. Um, so, but I do have that background because he would always give me like a pennant or a shirt, Rams, knowing I was a diehard Bears fan. But I always kind of like, okay, if the Rams are playing not against the Bears, I'll root for the Rams. And then I've told a story about training camps in Macomb, and then I ended up working the training camps when I worked in radio there. And what's really cool, one of my favorite Rams stories was I was covering the Rams in training camp. Now, rewind to the first summer. So the summer of 2003 was when I moved to Macomb, started working in radio, and the Rams training camp was in Macomb. Now, the quarterback, the starting quarterback at the university at Western Illinois, his name was Russ Mickna, great quarterback, and he was my next door neighbor, and we shared like the basement of one of the apartment complexes. At that time it was like a brand new building, and so there were two apartments in the basement of the main building. And so he was in one apartment, I was in the other. So I got to know him, hung out with some of the guys, and so it was just that summer like hanging out with Russ, and he was a senior quarterback that year, 2004. He's a practice squad quarterback for the Rams, and so the Rams get some good insights on some of the Western Illinois players. So we had some Western guys that went on to play for the Rams or were practice squad guys. So Russ is now like he goes from my neighbor to now he's on an NFL roster as a practice squad quarterback. Mike Martz was the head coach at the time, raved about him. There just wasn't room. I can't remember. I think he went on to play in the CFL and he had some great success. Or I think he played in the CFL and then arena. He had a great arena football career. I think he played most of it in San Jose, I can't remember. But so it was kind of surreal, and my parents knew him from when they came down to visit. Russ is the neighbor, and so my parents came down, and I've got a picture. I'll have to dig up the picture, but my parents took a picture. There's like, oh, there's Russ, playing for the Rams, and just a year ago, he's hanging out, in the basement apartment, and so that was really cool. But to tie it all together, 10 years later, whatever it was it 10 years? Yeah, it was about 10 years later, he's inducted into the Western Illinois Athletic Hall of Fame, and I am the host of the Hall of Fame ceremony. And so to introduce, I was a 21-year-old kid. He was 22, 23. To introduce my old neighbor, like eating pizza and drinking beer on a Saturday night, and to introduce him, my old neighbor who went on to, I went on to cover him a year later as a practice squad quarterback for the St. Louis Rams, and now he's inducted into the College Hall of Fame, and I am like introducing him on stage, and I shared that story of watching. I can't remember the NBA. It must have been because it was the summer of '03, so it must have been the NBA Finals. But I hanging out his apartment, pizza and beer, watching the NBA finals to, you know, introducing him to the Hall of Fame. It was surreal. It was a great moment, but that's my favorite Rams memory was Russ after, a year after we're hanging out watching the NBA finals. Here he is on the Rams roster. And I can't remember if Kurt Warner was, I'm sure he was. Kurt Warner was on that team. So Kurt was, I think, the starting quarterback. And Ken will appreciate this reference. It was that time period where it was a transition between Kurt Warner and Mark Bulger, who I believe Mark Bulger was a West Virginia guy. So Mark Bulger was the quarterback. And then they drafted, so the year Russ was there would have been 04. They drafted a guy. Was he out of Michigan State? I can't remember the quarterback's name, but I think he was out of Michigan State. Jeff Smoker, maybe. I can't remember, but it's like, oh, Russ is better than Smoker. And then he had a great career in the Arena Football League, and I think he played some time in the CFL. We should be celebrating the end of football means the start of baseball, and here we are. Sucks. Like, I still haven't booked my trip. I'm going to Arizona, but I just don't know how long. Like, I don't know if I want to spend a week out there, and who knows where we are. Who knows where we are, by the end of March. Hopefully everything's, I keep saying next week. I think I was hoping, even at the card show on Saturday, I'm like, they're meeting today. I think they're going to get something done over the weekend, and I think by Monday afternoon we'll have an announcement. But I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. I think we're screwed. I'm going to start being pessimistic now. Baseball's over. We're all screwed. We're not going to have a season. Reverse jinx. DR says, how has it taken so long for Dick Vermeil? That's a great question. Like, Dick Vermeil it's long overdue. Great head coach, great guy. Like, I remember Dick Vermeil when he was coaching the Rams. When I went to training camp as a kid, like in junior high and high school, I remember my friend Luke was with me. My mom took Luke and I down to Rams camp for like just a day trip. And we're walking down the sidewalk, and there's Dick Vermeil. And of course, we're 13, 14-year-old kids. Oh, Dick Vermeil, Coach Vermeil. And he like took time, talked to us, probably, 5 minutes. But I mean, 5 minutes out of his time was just awesome. Super, super nice guy. Dick Vermeil, yeah, long overdue. Awesome story. Thank you. I'm getting more into basketball now. Baseball is going to have to get back sooner. Fans are going to lose interest quick. Time is running out. Like, we're still safe from fans losing. It's still, it's only February 14th. I think today is when pitchers and catchers were scheduled to report for many teams. So I think we're safe for now. But if it does linger for a few more weeks, like if the calendar turns to March and there's still a lockout, that's when people are going to start saying bye-bye baseball. I think we're safe. I think we've got 2 more weeks. And if we go into March without an agreement, it's going to start pulling people away. And I think the owners and players both know that as well. But, both sides, I think both sides, I'm not going to fault one over the other. I think there's some middle ground that needs to be agreed upon. And I think both sides are going to come away happy and unhappy with certain things in the, whenever they agree on the agreement. It is what it is, but hopefully they can just, put egos aside and say, hey, we need to get this done, or we're going to, long term, this is going to hurt us. Make some concessions now to prevent catastrophe and losing millions and millions of dollars. It is Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day does nothing for me, but I'm a guy. I'm going to have to go get flowers today. I don't know. Like, I don't do the Valentine's dinners because here's a tip for the younger generation. And I don't know if others agree with me or disagree. Valentine's Day dinners, if you go have reservations on Valentine's Day, you're like paying twice as much. And Valentine's Day is just another day on the calendar. So, like, cuddle up on the couch with your wife or husband or significant other today, tonight, Valentine's Day, and make those reservations for Wednesday or Thursday because you're going to save a lot of money doing so. Because all these restaurants, they hype their Valentine's Day dinner and the mood and all that crap. It's not worth it. You're paying way more. You're paying way more. Save the reservation for later this week. Go on Wednesday or Thursday. Save some money. Um, and hang out at home. It's just a day. Like, pretend Wednesday is Valentine's Day and go to a nice restaurant and save 50% or 100% of your money. That's my opinion on it. Fortunately, my wife shares the same opinion. Because early on in our relationship, I would book reservations, and she's like, "Don't do that. It's a waste of money." There you go. So Herman's on board with that. We did ours last week. Yep, absolutely. It's just another day. In fact, back in my radio days, I remember a girl. I was dating a girl, and we had only been dating for a couple months, and I spent the entire Valentine's Day at a high school basketball shootout. And then she broke up with me like a week later. So, and then I remember spending one Valentine's Day in Fargo, North Dakota. I talked about Fargo last week. Love Fargo. We played North Dakota State on Valentine's Day in Fargo. So it's just another day. Save your money, buy your significant other flowers, and save those expensive dinner reservations for another day and save a bunch of money. Let's see. Seattle Mariners are on a roll. All-Star game in Seattle 2023. That's awesome. When is it coming to Wrigley? Wrigley's made all these cool renovations. The All-Star game needs to come back to Wrigley Field. It's been 30 plus years now. And they've really done a lot of cool renovations around, and you've got All-Star game. The All-Star game comes back to Wrigley. Hopefully, maybe if it's in Seattle in 23, maybe Chicago 24. I'm there. I'm taking a few days off, and I'm spending All-Star weekend in Wrigleyville. What a party that'll be. My baseball interest has been fading because Twins are bringing politics into the game and stadium. When you walk into Target Field, you have George Floyd all over and have to show a vaccine card to get in. Herman did last week, and smart man, too much drama around the lockout. Let's see, Jenny, I think a lot of people are feeling similar. We go to baseball game for the love and not politics. Even the flowers are 3 times. Yeah. So what I started doing is I go to our local, like our pick and save that I like a couple weeks ago, I said I'm going to stop going to because they need to get their stuff together. Their flowers are so much cheaper. Don't go to a flower shop. There's another piece of advice for the younger generation. Flowers at flower shops are way more expensive. Go to Costco. Costco has great deals on roses and other flowers. My local grocery store has a great floral department. I buy them from there. Don't mess with a hobby. Loves Valentine's Day. I flip it around. When I was single, it was awesome. Scooping all the token hearts. I love it. Just saw a job posting for Target Field. Reading requirements. One is fully vaccinated. 1990 last All-Star game at Wrigley. Yeah, over 30 years ago. So yeah, it needs to come back. We've so many great renovations around Wrigleyville. Tip: if you're going to buy flowers, plant in the ground. There you go. That's a good one. I'm in Wisconsin, so by Valentine's Day there's no flowers available. So that wouldn't work here. So that's all for today. Super Bowl review. Thanks for tuning in. Great chat today. And I don't think I had the spinning wheel, so my updates, my tweaks to my computer must have worked. So have a great Monday, and we'll chat tomorrow.